In this video, I'm going to break down how Shelby Sapp makes $4.5 million per month with her high-ticket sales coaching program. The first step is attracting the audience and then capturing them and getting their contact information, then further nurturing them until they are ready to become a paid customer, which they then move on into the closing phase. I'm going to break down her entire content strategy, who she is, what she does, how she actually makes $4.5 million per month, how she captures these leads and makes sure that they actually show up to the calls, breaking down the full webinar step by step, exactly what she says and why she says it, as well as her email follow-up, her copywriting. I'll even break down her product, her application funnel, her book a call funnel, and how she's able to make this money at such a young age. So just sit down in a quiet place and let me break down this entire funnel in great detail. I'm going to add timestamps in the bottom of the video so you're able to skip to whatever section you feel is most valuable to you. So who is Shelby Sapp? She's 24 years old. She got her master's from ASU and she started her sales career in door-to-door sales, selling pest control in the summer sun. So she moved into online high-ticket sales after that, and now she runs an 8-figure sales coaching business, the She Sells Academy. So let me also address the elephant in the room. Is it really $4.5 million per month? Like I said, there's a lot of people who've already done breakdowns on her, and they all claim that she makes around $500,000 per month. Let me break down why that's not the case. So she started her high-ticket sales coaching business in the early 2023, and as of November 8th, 2024, they had, according to this article, roughly 2,000 members. So at the time, she was pricing her product around $3,000. So if she had 2,000 students, times 3,000 means she's made $6 million from her program within 2 years. So 2 years is 24 months, divide that, and she was making $250,000 per month in her first 2 years of business. Now, in this lawsuit from her former business partner in September 12, 2024, you can see that they claim that she made $1 million plus in sales after her 2-hour webinar. If her program price was $3,000, to make $1 million, she would need 333 sales. Let's assume it was only $1 million, even though it says more than $1 million. She was also averaging 30,000 webinar participants, according to this Reddit post. I'm also going to analyze every part of her webinar and how she was able to get people to be so emotional, commit to transferring $3,000 from their savings account to buy it straight on the Zoom call. So at the time she was hosting her webinars, it's $3,000 for a spot inside her program. And after the webinar was done, she would just have a direct call to action to purchase the product. There's no external communication. There's no sales calls that you have to hop on. It's the most friction-filled decision you can make to buy a $3,000 product without, making any other decisions or talking to anyone else, one-on-one and more personal. So this is how her offer was structured before. And so she had 30,000 webinar participants, 1.1% conversion rate to close 333 students to make $1 million per webinar. If we're taking these numbers, we already see that she's making $250,000 per month in her first 2 years of business. Let's look at the changes she made from, November 8th, 2024 to now June 12th, her most recent webinar that I attended. Since then, at the end of the webinar, she also said that she scaled to a team of 15 closers. Obviously, she phrased it as like 15 program advisors. But 15 closes, that's because she shifted her webinar model from a close CTA, call to action at the end of the webinar, into a sales book a call funnel at the end of the webinar. I'm going to explain the entire webinar funnel and how she's changed it later on in the video, but she essentially changed the call to action from, buy my product now to book a free sales call or book a free audit call to see if everything makes sense. She also increased her offer price from $3,000 to $5,000, as well as improved the overall program experience, got more case studies, and her personal brand also 3x on Instagram alone. November 8th, 2024, she had 300,000 followers on Instagram. Now, at the time of making this video, she has 800,000 followers on Instagram alone. Assuming very conservatively that, that extra 600,000 followers only brings her an extra 20,000 webinar participants. Let's keep the same conversion rate. Like if you're really familiar with info products, you would know that a 1.1% conversion rate from, a webinar to booking a free call is really, really bad. But let's just assume for, conservative matters that only 1% books a call. That would be over 500 book calls for her 15 closers. And she only opens her calendar spots for the next 4 days. That's also to increase the show up rate because you don't want your leads or prospects to book out too far in advance. Otherwise, they're going to forget they had that call booked. 50,000 webinar participants, 500 book calls. That means it's around 33 calls per closer for the next 4 days. That means each closer is taking around 8 calls per day. And if you have a 25% close rate, this is also pretty conservative, considering the fact that most offers will have around 20 to 30% close rate. But her brand is really, really strong. She understands her ICP really well. So she's able to connect with those. And they're also really high qualified depending on how they filled out the application to even book the call in the first place. I'll walk through everything, but 25% close rate is really, really conservative as well for this type of offer. And so closing 2 out of 8 of those calls at $5,000 per close, that's $10,000 times 15 closers times 30 days. That's $4.5 million per month. Obviously, these numbers are revenue. You have to account in credit card fees, processing fees, paying out your closers, your setters, your team members, copywriters, managers, her business partner. There's a lot of expenses that are attributed to running this type of program. But like I said, these numbers were also done and calculated pretty conservatively. So as far as we know, she could be profiting this amount per month. She also demonstrated on the webinar why it's a call and not a checkout page, because it's not a click and buy course, even though it was at one point. It's a program and you deserve a plan that fits. So that's usually the angle that people approach when they say, oh, book this free call, because I want to be able to tailor the situation to your pain and your current experiences so that you're able to feel more, personalized, and that the program is actually meant for you instead of a generic, one person talking to hundreds of thousands of people on a live video. She also has really good lead flow and a good qualification process. So that's why I say her close rate should definitely be higher than 25%. And here's actually a story from one of her closers that posted that she closed 2 $5,000 deals in 1 hour, less than an hour. If she was able to make 2 of those 8 closes in less than an hour, well, I'm pretty sure she has a higher close rate than 25%. That $4.5 million revenue is definitely possible for the scale of Shelby Sapp's brand. Let me actually move on to her content strategy and how she's able to generate that lead flow and the power of her personal brand. So I also want to introduce a pretty common rule of sales and marketing. It's going to be the 7-11-4 rule that says that for a new person to trust you enough to become a paying customer, they have to consume around 7 hours of content through 11 different touch points and 4 different platforms. So I'll also break down how she's increasing her touch points with each customer and how she gets to that 7 hours of nurtured content. The first stage is going to be the attracting stage. This is where she's grabbing all of her leads as much as she can, attracting the most amount of attention to her offer and introducing them to her ecosystem. First, before we even break down any of the social medias, I want to go into her brand identity and her ICP. Understanding this is going to be really important when you're crafting the offer, when you're crafting the marketing, the copywriting, so you're able to know exactly who you're talking to and tailor your speech directly towards them. Her brand identity is really focused around being an alpha female, being self-sufficient, being independent. She's basically the female version of Andy Elliott, the male guru sales trainer, but she wants to show the independence and the freedom that comes with being a remote sales rep. That's one of the main transformations that she promotes. And this empowerment is shown through her hot girl sales mindset and being someone who's, not only capable of attaining that status of wealth, but the freedom that comes with it, the time, location freedom. It's her entire brand is tailored specifically only for females. So she even says in most of her story posts, her online posts, that she doesn't allow any men inside her program. And that exclusivity is actually what increases that brand attachment for women to feel more gravitated towards her offer. Her ICP is women of any skill level. That includes moms, students, nurses, or females who actually want freedom, independence through their own skill set and the ability to make money through what they know. She usually targets a younger age demographic around 18 to 34. So they're really ambitious, but they're underpaid or unfulfilled. That could mean working a job. You could see how in this webinar, she already shows her ICP essentially. If you're a sales rep, if you're a receptionist, a nurse, a mom, a waitress, or a recent graduate, it doesn't matter because anyone at any different skill level can learn high ticket sales. And that's what she emphasizes inside of her funnel. On TikTok, she has 500,000 followers. She has her grouped video playlist. And then most of her videos are similar or reposts from her Instagram. They have content with her boyfriend, Alex Eubank. She has her pink Porsche that she's known for, the pink Porsche. That's one of the main things that she leveraged on her rise to fame. You also have other videos that are, talking head videos, just talking to the camera, giving free value. But these videos on TikTok don't really perform that well. They have, relative to her brand, they still add increased traffic. So they have a call to action for the webinar, the live class inside the description, the link in bio. That's her TikTok. Before I move on to Instagram, I think that's one of her main social media platforms. So I'm going to briefly go over her YouTube as well. Her YouTube is largely unoptimized. She has around 7,000 subscribers with only 3 videos uploaded, and they're spaced out between like 2 months. YouTube is one of the platforms where coaches and creators could take the most advantage of, especially if you're one of those micro creators or people with smaller audiences. If you want to make the most amount of money, you have to be nurturing those leads. So going back to the 7-11-4 rule, this is where you're not only increasing the touch points and increasing the number of platforms that someone views your content from, but you're increasing the number of hours they're consuming your content. Because realistically, it's a lot easier to watch 7 hours of content from someone who has like 30-minute videos, 1 hour long videos that are specifically tailored to the ICP, pinpointing each of their pain points, giving direct solutions on how they were able to solve it. You're not only gaining value, but you're building more trust with the creator through YouTube, as opposed to going through 7 hours of, scrolling Reels and TikTok. Going through 7 hours of content through Instagram Reels or short form platform like TikTok for one creator alone is going to be difficult. So most of the trust building is through YouTube, and it's also through her webinar. So this is basically contributing to her middle of funnel content. It's not even like value based. It's more like her talking raw style into like how she's been able to manifest the life she's given. It's like motivational speaking. Her YouTube doesn't really play a huge role into her coaching program and how she gets leads from it, but it has the potential to do so. And this is where I stress, most of my clients to really focus on. Let's break down her Instagram, because that's where most of her traffic is coming from. So her Instagram content strategy, you can see she has 800,000 followers, and now I think it's like 825,000, but you could tell she's growing at a rapid rate. So she has #1 female sales trainer. She has the largest sales academy, the She Sells Academy. And then she also has the live training class as the call to action in the bio. Let me first break down her Instagram posts. People buy from people. That's basically the big message here. You want to show that you're a real person. You want to reinforce your brand images. Everything I said about her brand identity is shown through her Instagram posts. You're building your brand image with professional photos, and you're showing the behind the scenes, the lifestyle basically, behind your remote high ticket sales career that you're promoting. Not only is it adding more personality to her, it's really just showing that she is a credible person. The videos that she makes on Instagram, like I said, pretty similar to the ones she posts on TikTok. They're a mix of different content styles, from speechless videos where she's just sitting on a plane talking about how she's sitting next to, male CEOs, and then daily routine edits. Those do really well. Just talking about like the behind the scenes of the day in the life of a multimillionaire. Also compilations and trend edit, basically montages of her day, but you could see the performance doesn't lie. She has 500,000 views here, 250K views here, 250,000 views here, 3.6 million views here. So you can see that how her videos are generating a lot of eyeballs and attention, which then gravitate over to her profile. They get nurtured through her stories, her story highlights, her pinned reels, and I'll break that down right now. Let's start with the pinned reels. You're going to have her sales story is the first one. It starts with her college experience and talks about her door-to-door sales jobs. The reason why she has her sales story pinned to her profile is so that you can understand her journey isn't that far off from yours. Her ICP might be working a job right now, might be in door-to-door sales, might understand that they want something better for their life. She wants to come down back to that level. Like, even though all of her posts are showing that she's, someone of influence, someone with wealth, she wants to show that she wasn't always like that and show how her story might be relatable to your situation. And so you could take the same steps that she took in order to find the level of success that you want in your life. And that's the importance of being relatable, telling your story so that you can build more trust with your leads. And then at the end, she plugs the She Sells Academy. If you're not already sold on, attending her live webinar by that reel alone, you have the 6 sales objections that she goes over in 60 seconds, basically just building more authority with niche value, talking about sales objections that she's overcoming, and builds more authority that she actually knows what she's saying, instead of just, being a lifestyle guru. And then Sell Me This Pen, just capitalizing on the trend and the common phrase. It might also just be one of her more viral videos. This third one isn't that important, but it also just further adds more credibility. Looking at her Instagram story highlights, we're going to break down 3 of them: the student wins, the she sells, and the remote sales FAQ. The student wins, really self-explanatory. She has tons of testimonials, just giving her more social proof that her program works. And you're not paying $5,000 for nothing. You're paying $5,000 for a repeatable process that has been able to work for many other students. So why wouldn't it work for you? So you're going to have text testimonials from her community. You're going to have the content and the product flywheel, which I'll definitely talk about later. And a call to action at the end that just says, join now, increasing some FOMO. You're already seeing all the results. And as you're scrolling through the highlights, you see a call to action, you'll sign up for the webinar. And the She Sells is breaking down how they're a real community. The main reason why her program is so successful is because she's able to develop that level of community that separates it from every other online course scam. This is probably why her fulfillment is really good and why she has a low refund rate. She's showing her group onboarding process. She's showing how she welcomes in her new members with gifts. If you were to join and pay $5,000 for a program, you'd start to have buyer's remorse. So you want to squash that experience for all of your new buyers by giving them as much value as possible and then reinforcing their belief that whatever decision they just made in joining your program was a good idea. So they do this by giving out free gifts straight to their, sent to them in person. They're also building real community with meetups all around the world and meeting other girls who are also passionate about sales. And that's the power of having a lot of clients. You want to show your clients that it's more than just a course, it's a community, it's a movement. And that's what you'll see her repeating, many times throughout the webinar. You'll see her repeating that throughout her sales process, her copywriting, that it's not buying into a course or a community, it's really a movement. And so remote sales FAQ, just answering common questions. Everything's here just to, shake away your doubts and worries to actually promote getting onto the live webinar. Okay, now that we broke down the entire content strategy, we're going to move on to capturing. How does she capture her leads? The link that is inside of her Instagram and TikTok bios everywhere, her story highlights, is going to be the webinar landing page. The timer at the top just adds more scarcity, more FOMO. Call to actions here, call to action here, high quality profile here, and her title here. I mean, pretty standard, just have a title, photo. Some people like to have a VSL here. It doesn't really matter. And you also have everything you're going to learn within the webinar. So 4 things that they're going to learn. What they also do next is call out who exactly it's meant for. So, sake of your 9-to-5 job, you're a woman, you want to work on your own terms and be independent. This is not you if, you're lazy. So they're disqualifying people already by saying if you're any one of these things, like you're looking to get rich quick, you don't put in the work, then this is not for you. And that's really good for already increasing quality leads on her webinar. Just talking a little bit about herself and another call to action at the end. This webinar landing page pops up into this pop-up where they're going to capture your name, your email address, and your number. So I already went through the whole process. I'll definitely show you every single email, text message that was sent to me, and we'll break everything down from there. You also have shelbysapp.com. She wants to dominate her own name and personal brand. So she has a website for that, which then leads over to a lead magnet, which is basically just free value given out in the form of an ebook that they can download as long as they give their email contact. Or you can join the Shelby's VIP list. I'm not even too sure what that is. I think it's just another way to say sign up for my webinar. Then the program general page, this is the shesellsremote.com. You can enter the program waitlist over here. And basically what all 3 of these, forms of lead capture have in common is email capture. The whole goal is to get your email so that they're able to nurture you further with email sequences. And then after you've gotten to a point where you've built enough trust with the leads, you can ask them to not only sign up for the webinar, also contact them for further information if you ever open up any other offers. Another commonality between all of these things is they have UTM attribution tracking. Basically what it means is they're able to track exactly where each of their leads are coming from. You can see from the Instagram bio, it came Instagram organic and IG bio. So they know exactly where each lead comes from, everyone who registers for their webinar, where each of their email leads are coming from. And that's through this UTM tracking. It's really important to get the right metrics and understand how your funnel is doing so that you can work on areas that need improvement. Now we are in the nurturing phase. You're going to enter the promotional sequence after they have your email. I'm going to start with the email sequences, then show you the text message sequences. But basically right after you opt in, you're going to get, value-based emails like this one, where they're highlighting the pain point inside the headline. You're going to be underpaid or underestimated. So that's already calling out your pain. This first sentence basically just says you're working a job and you don't like it. So that's basically the whole part here. They're talking about your current situation and why you don't like it, how you've been pleasing others like your parents just to get a safe job, but you don't want to be that person. So they're trying to shift your mindset and your perspective from always being the person that you were at the moment of, I need to do this because it's the safe route, and then going into something that may have a little bit more risk, but a lot more reward as well. Then they also have a call to action to save your spot, basically just entering the webinar, so opting into the webinar. Once you've opted in from the webinar, you can either opt in from, the sign up pop-up, or this is from the lead magnet email. You are going to get a confirmation email 1 minute later, And it's basically, you can see how she's talking to her ICP. You know, you have babe, you have emojis, you really did that. All of her wording inside of her emails and her copy really speak and resonate with her ICP because she understands them really well. She's already defined who she's targeting. And so she's able to tailor all of her content straight towards the ICP. She's reinforcing that their decision to attend the call is a great idea. And then 7 minutes later, she follows up with an engagement email like, sorry, I forgot to tell you something. I'm going to give you free value inside of some sort of lead magnet, which is going to be the Hot Girl Sales Mindset, the free lead magnet that they used to capture you over here. But this is basically just saying, like, if you reply to this email, which the girls who engage always being the ones who do the best, if you reply to the email with your number one burning question, then I'll give you this free lead magnet. One of the main things that this does actually allows her to understand, like, what are the questions that my audience has and how can I address that on the webinar before it actually comes to the end where I drop the price or I drop the call to action to book the call. This is really helpful to get like market research before the webinar even happens. And it's also increasing the amount of touch points like we talked about and giving more value through the lead magnet after they've already responded. So 17 minutes after you respond, you're going to get the lead magnet email. You get a follow-up email 12 hours before. It's going to say, rise and shine, bestie. You know, it's today. This is the day that will change your life forever, right? Basically just reminding you, you know, where the meeting is, what time it is. They're going to go over what's involved inside of the webinar. There's no replays, so you either attend, you're there, or you're not. Set those alarms, basically just increasing her show-up rate. 5 hours later, you get follow-up number 2. Follow-up number 2, basically just another reminder where it is. Some common, you know, fears that you might already have, like some uneasiness. So she's trying to pre-handle that already inside of her email. Basically just to see you soon. Next, we have the follow-up 1 hour before, 60 minutes left. Basically just another reminder, nothing too crazy. You can see the emojis popping out, all the emojis here, and some really guided instructions on what you need to do. Close your other tabs, be focused. You know, grab your notebook. And then here, doors are open. Where are you? This is the event notification 6 minutes after. We already have it. The chat is buzzing, giving you some FOMO. Here's your final call to join the link. 13 minutes after the event already started, she'll have her assistant, Alyssa, reach out to you. It's really just another automated message, but saying like, oh, did she really just say that? It's giving you some more curiosity on what she's saying in the webinar so you can attend. There's no replay, just another fear of missing out. And let's actually look at the text message reminder. So after you opt in, 70 minutes after, you're gonna get an OMG text that says congrats on securing your spot for the masterclass. I'll text you the link here. And honestly, I don't want to break down too deep into her SMS flows because they're really just reminders with the link. So today's the day, you know, here's the link, 1 hour, 4 hours reminder text, 1 hour reminder text, 15 minutes before, 10 minutes before, 5 minutes before, and then the event notifications. You are just getting absolutely spammed. With all of these notifications and follow-up messages, there is absolutely no way you're going to miss this. You either want to be there or you don't. That's how they increase their show-up rate. Another thing is, after you opt into the webinar, you're going to get redirected over to a thank you page with a quick like 2-minute spontaneous video that she recorded outside of some random store. Usually this is like the pre-call flow. You want to add high value videos that will nurture your audience, especially before a sales call. But the thing is, in her funnel, the webinar is actually the main nurturing model. That is basically the pre-call resources and the videos that you would make your clients watch before they attend the call. But they're already doing that by attending the webinar. So this thank you page is just kept really simple. Let's break down what she actually says inside of the webinar. So first, she starts with a welcome. She talks about her mentor, her story, and how she felt stuck. The important thing is, when she talks about her mentor, she's also showing how she's not afraid to invest inside of her education. And if she's promoting, you know, buying a mentor or buying her mentorship program for high ticket sales, she shows that she's already done that. So it's nothing to be afraid of because it got her to where she is today. And so she also talks about her situation and how bad it was. And the power of this is to tell prospects how bad their situation is without directly telling it to them. You're being as indirect as possible by just highlighting the flaws of your own life. And you don't even have to tell the audience that like you're in your job and you don't like it at all. You understand that because you understand my story and how much I hated my job. She's depicting where they're at right now and the pain of that current situation. Understand their current situation by asking them questions and bridging the gap between where they want to be and where they're at right now through the solution, which is your program or product. She's also going to talk about the 3 harsh truths in door-to-door sales. You know, there's not a lot of support for women. You're knocking doors, getting a lot of rejections because you are chasing the leads, which on the flip side, if you do remote sales, the leads are chasing you. So she also starts about pre-handling objections, common misconceptions, or some things you might be thinking and your doubts that you might have. This is also really effective because she fully understands her ICP. That's why it's really important you understand who you're selling to so that you're able to tailor all of these things and pre-handle their objections before they even come in the form of, your sales calls or when you're asking for the close. This is the aha moment and the pivot point in her life where she realized that door-to-door sales isn't the best opportunity for her because there is high ticket closing. And so she had a friend that had experience in remote sales. And while she's knocking doors every day in the summer sun, he made $1,000 in commissions. She's telling the story on how she found the experience. And then once she tried it herself, after understanding briefly about what the offer was about, started selling, made her first $1,000 in commission within the hour. She understood the true power of remote sales and how it was so much better than what she was currently doing. And so she pivoted into that space. And she talks about the program a little bit, but shows it just like a brief glimpse as a revolutionary sales movement, just to add credibility. She's talking about how she started She Sells Academy and starting the movement that is not a course. It's not the deliverables. You're not focusing on what she's actually offering, but you're focusing on the community, the results, the transformation that she's helping you buy into. The next step of this, she goes into a mindset exercise where she's helping you visualize your dream life 1 year later. And so it forces the prospect to think of their dream outcome and what they want in life. You have to define it, make it material, like what car do you drive? What do you see when you look in the mirror? What are your work hours like? Who do you have around you? Who do you share your wins with? So it's another reminder of what is your big reason why you're doing all this? Why are you on the call today? Why do you want to change your life? Why do you want to make the money that you want to make and provide for the people you love? Who are the people that you're doing it for? So it's not just about yourself, but this decision to change and make a difference in your life to go from where you are now and where you want to be is driven by the things that you want and the people you want to help. This visualizing exercise is actually really, really deep and really essential for helping her prospects understand the clear defined path on where they need to be. At the end, she'll also bring it back down to reality that nothing changes if nothing changes. What she's basically saying is that success is never luck, and the people who've made it to that level of success all had a plan, all had a vision, and they have to work backwards by starting with that goal and understanding what it takes to get there. And then this is really where she talks about high ticket sales as the main vehicle to getting to where you want to be, because it's not the work ethic that you have. It's not the hours that you put in, because no matter how many hours you might do at any of your jobs, it's not going to get you to the level you want to be because you're not in the right vehicle. So it's going to be high ticket sales where you are paid based on how well you do at your job, not the hours that you work. She's going to explain what high ticket sales is from an influencer's offers perspective. Like, you have this creator here, he needs closers because he can't take the calls by himself. And talk about inbound warm leads, people who are already looking for the product and the solution, and you're basically the middleman, seeing if they're qualified enough to join the program. So you're not chasing after anyone, you're not harassing anyone, you're not the typical car salesman. You're someone of value that you need to identify if they are worth helping or not. Basically just talking about all the pros that come with being a high ticket sales rep. Then she goes over the job benefits, part-time work, flexibility, because you can make your own schedule, and then envision the end of the month commission payout. Then again, painting the, dream outcome and how it's really sustainable. Then tying back to material things like her pink Porsche or whatever dream car you were thinking of, and how it could be basically paid for through 1 day of work or 1 day of commissions. Once you graduate from college, you're able to pick whatever job you're interested in. Pursuing an industry that people are passionate about might be interesting to some people, and that's kind of the appeal she's going for when she's talking about this. She also mentions how sales is a growing industry and how it's really unsaturated right now if you get in early. Then she also highlights the time, location, and money freedom that she's been referencing the entire webinar. And then she talks about the average sales path. What would it look like if you actually wanted to start high ticket sales, but you didn't want to join the She Sells Academy? What would it look like if you were trying to do it on your own before investing in yourself? It's really common too for a lot of these program owners and offer owners to show you the path that you might take, like one possibility that there is for you, and then point out the many flaws inside taking that path, most likely because they either took it themselves or they're showing you how they've done it with a mentor and why they can help you. but it's showing a lot of the obstacles and struggles that you have to overcome if you were to do it on your own. You have to rely on free resources like YouTube, the internet, and the issue with that is you have to dig through a lot of the content if you're trying to find a specific answer to one of the main problems that you're having, but you need to find that specific solution and you have to hope that it's effective and it's not, someone lying on the internet. You have a question, but you have no one to ask. So you're wasting time and money without guaranteed results if you were to do it on your own. She's pre-handling the objection, why can't I just do it myself? Why do I need to join the She Sells Academy? And then she tells you the other way that she spent the last 12 months learning and then providing her students through her She Sells Academy training program. And it starts with, student wins, showcasing who's actually benefited from this new strategy. The revamped She Sells sales process. So what's the main difference between joining She Sells and doing it on your own? Goes over the program deliverables, which means everything that's actually included, the offer, the product, what you get access to if you were to join She Sells Academy, and then reinforcing the fact that joining is being part of the movement. It's not buying into a course. And then she ends the whole thing off with more student case studies and just trying to be relatable. And if you're able to see someone in your same situation on screen in their similar story and how they were able to find success in high ticket sales, you would be a lot more convinced just because they're more relatable to your current situation. So that's kind of her goal with the finishing touches being student case studies. And then I think it's also really cool to see that her webinar chat also has like automated messages sending in the link to book a call, which is where she directs everyone at the end. So this is her call to action: book a call, schedule, click on this link, adding some more FOMO. This is Shelby's assistant. Let me know if this comes through. Make sure you're a good fit. 81% capacity, just another thing to add FOMO. Now we're entering the final closing section. The book a call redirect brings you over to this page, the application form. But before that she's actually prefacing what the call is going to be about. So like I mentioned before, it's not get on a call with my closer so we can charge you $5,000 to join my course. Be a part of the movement. See if you qualify for the movement by talking to one of our program admission advisors. You're talking with the advisors. There's no commitment at all. You're just going to understand, your current situation, the struggles that you're facing right now. Make sure that we can actually help you before we even ask you to pay anything. And so there's a really solid approach. It's the way that she's already prefacing how these calls go that also helps set the expectation straight for the prospects that actually do want to book a call. So you're not having prospects come on the call and like, oh, I didn't want to buy anything. And you also see how that's pre-handled through the application process as well. If you didn't attend the entire webinar, also you'll receive a post-webinar call to action text over here to just book a direct call. Booking a call, after you're doing all that, redirected over to a checkout page, here's the actual application form. You have your name, last name, email, contact. They track exactly where you came from as well for this. And then they ask where you're located so they understand, like, are you first world, second world, third world country? So they kind of already understand, like, your purchasing power. How old are you? They want to know, like, are you mature? Are you just a teenager? Are you, this also gives them a better glimpse into their ICP and their customer demographic. What do you do for work? They want to understand how much money you guys are making. Of course, they'll ask you that and how much you're able to invest. But if you say you're like a doctor, an engineer, and then you say you only feel comfortable investing $1,000, then they know you have the ability to purchase more, but it might disqualify you here, and a setter or a dialer can reach out to you at a later time. Biggest motivation, they want to know your reason why. Like, what is your why? What is your purpose? Why do you want to change where you're at right now? You could be living comfortably, just like sitting on the couch and doing whatever you want, but your reason for wanting to change is this. This is the pain point that they'll be targeting on the setting calls and the closing call. Talking about your sales experience, it's basically the likelihood that you'll succeed. They can also tailor that situation. Like, let's say you also did door-to-door sales. Then she can pivot that and be like, well, I did it, so you can do it too. Basically just giving as much description as you can into your current situation. And then also getting a better glimpse into your availability. And like, are you part-time? Are you full-time? You're not working right now. And then already prefacing the call with a $5,000 investment. She's already telling you the program price at this point. So if you're booking a call with her, you're most likely already, aware, not only aware that it's $5,000, but you're willing to invest it. So are you in the position and open to investing $5,000? The program price is $5,000. They don't have anything higher, but they're saying minimum, just qualifying you even more to help you hit your goals. If accepted, when would you be ready to start? This is like either right now, next week, next month. They want to see, are you able to get committed on the call, or do you have some, external reason why you won't be able to commit until later down the line? You and your partner's current monthly income. This is, if for some reason giving away your job doesn't already help you find, their financial capabilities, you can always ask, what do you guys make? You're not working a job right now, then what do you guys make? So you can also understand how much they have set aside to actually pay for it. So this is where they have the form logic. So basically, if you said right here that, yes, you're in the position, you're willing to start right away, and you have a good income, then you'll be put over to the qualified lead, where you're actually set on to book a call in the next 4 days. If you're not qualified, you're going to be put over to the unqualified lead page, which says, thank you for applying. We're going to reach out to you the next 24 to 72 hours. What happens then, if you're an unqualified lead, you have someone from her team reaching out. This is usually a setter. They'll dial your number a few times in case you're in Do Not Disturb. They'll also send you more messages and leave voice notes. So just a lot of follow-up. There's also emails that are sent with images of, their business card. But it also, I think one important thing to note there is like it makes the email look a little bigger and more noticeable out of your sea of emails. So more likely to click it. It's important. Let's get you booked, and basically just redirecting back to the book a call redirect, and making sure that you're qualified. So after all of that, post-event follow-up, you're also going to be put back into the email sequences just for free value, more emails just giving out free game, so that you're further nurtured later down the line. When you have the financial capability to join the program, you'll already be ready to join because you've been receiving value from these emails for such a long time. The last part I want to go over is their product. I don't know too much about it because my funnel hacking stops there. I don't want to waste anyone's time scheduling a call and not showing up. But I do want to go over why their product works really well. So let's take a look first at their program deliverables. It's a 12-week self-paced training program. So it's like 3 different levels. The same way schools and colleges have grades, like you can have first grade, second grade, third grade, you're going to have 3 different tiers with different exams. At the end of each tier, to graduate onto the next tier, you're going to take a final exam. So you have to pass that to move on to the next tier. The 12-week program is like video course modules, practicing your sales training with AI high-ticket sales software. This is Udly. I don't even know how to pronounce that. You also got program certification. So a lot of people value, the college degree. That's basically the She Sells Academy equivalent of it. Community and student portal is being hosted on Heartbeat. Never heard of it, to be honest, but it's just another one of those platforms that you can host it on, like Discord or School. One of the main reasons why they probably don't use something like Discord or School is like they don't like either of the interfaces, and Discord might seem a little, male dominated or gamer type attributed. So, especially for females, you want something a little bit more modern and sleek. So Heartbeat is probably a good alternative. Internal hosted software. So they have their own custom software to find offers. It's the She Sells remote software that they host on Vercel. And the fact that it's a movement. So you're joining the community. It's not really just, joining this course, watching a few videos, learning sales and getting a job. It's joining a movement, finding people around you and surrounding yourself with people who are actually willing to put in the work with you. They also offer, weekly calls. Shelby will actually host these weekly workshops. You get post-graduation support. So interview preps for your job interviews, sale call reviews, etc. There's a lot of value inside of her program deliverables alone. She also has the product flywheel, which I mentioned earlier, but basically she can service offer owners, people who have owners and looking for closers, by connecting them with her students. So she's essentially the middleman operator. She doesn't charge the offer owners anything, but it gives her the opportunity to provide more value to her students by giving them offers from people who want to hire her closers. Another thing here is they have the tight community and regional reps. I think this was a really interesting concept. Apart from mailing goods in person straight to new members, you also have these, meetups, obviously the masterminds, but you'll have regional reps. So people who are designated leaders of the She Sells Academy all over the world. So you have a regional rep for Miami, Florida, Orange County, California, Phoenix, Arizona. You have people in your local area where you can schedule your own meetups, have something that's not scheduled by the whole She Sells Academy, but the people locally around you, so you can build that tighter community. And when you form that mini group, you're already attributing that value to the program you joined, because that would have never been possible if you didn't pay $5,000 to join She Sells Academy. Delivering layers and layers of value. It is the reason why she has so many student testimonials. And obviously it's a great product, which is why she's able to make the money that she's making and not have like crazy refund rates and really bad credibility online. Another thing here that was interesting that I wanted to point out was Amazon Graduate Essentials. It's basically just her Amazon storefront where she gets commissions. She gets commission on people who buy any of these products from her link. I think it was just kind of interesting. She's selling the clothes that she wears in her videos, some of the essentials like a MacBook, a video camera, a desk chair, etc. And so, I mean, you don't have to use this concept in your funnel, but one thing you can take from here is like upselling, adding commissions. If you're, let's say, a sports betting creator or a drop shipper, you can partner with these brands that might help you out and help your students out and get paid a commission for when your students use those resources as well. Or you can upsell them into, a low ticket item or, subscription of some software that you own, something like that to just increase the average order value. I mean, that's pretty much it on, her overall funnel breakdown, how she was able to make $4.5 million per month. But she doesn't do it alone. So she's the face of the brand, but she also has a business partner that works behind the scenes, Mr. 4 to 8, otherwise known as Blake. He basically just handles most of the back-end operations and helps with managing the sales teams, the setters, copywriters, and making sure that they have the whole content strategy and everything planned out. So even though she's the face of the brand, he's also helping with the operation side of things, and they make a lot of money together. So if you're a coach or creator looking to scale your own info product offer and you see some of my results here, 100,000 in revenue, 80,000 cash collected with my client with 3,000 subscribers, or 53K in the last few months, you can schedule a call with me and I'll basically just do a free brand audit, go through your whole process and see what are some areas you can improve. I'll help you shift your offer strategy or help you craft a new offer depending on your current situation. And if everything makes sense, you can also apply to work with me. Go ahead and hit the link down in the description. And if you really enjoyed this video and you like the value I provided, please hit the subscribe button. It really means a lot to me. Thank you guys.